So our first game of the day is going to be Larva versus his opponent Rain. It's a PvZ on Gold Rush, so we're going to be able to see firsthand how this works. Today all of our games are going to be cast in the dual FPPoV format. Just allows us to go ahead and see how both players are doing, and of course always really cool to see the mechanics from both of these players. So as we talked about before, Gold Rush is going to be all about the drops. We're probably going to see a lot of airplay coming out from Rain, a lot of early air control with the Corsairs. Larva's talking really loudly, so I'm just going to turn him down a bit. And we're probably going to see Rain take a lot of early air control with a bunch of Corsairs, probably with +1 attack on those Corsairs as well. And Larva, meanwhile, is probably going to be going for something a little bit more standard. Might try to fight back quite a bit with the Scourge, but overall it's going to be the early game, the early mid game for this particular matchup is going to be all about trying to seed that air control, or trying to take that air control and not seed it to your opponent, rather. So we'll have to see how that goes. Larva going for the overpool, so just going to play it a little bit safer. This allows him to go ahead and take that natural expansion. He could potentially take a backdoor as his first expansion, but so far we've pretty much seen everyone go ahead and take the natural. If you're a Zerg player, it's a little bit better to take that natural, just because having the creep out there earlier makes it much easier to defend. Unlike the other races that have a big advantage in defending their ramp, Zerg really only has good advantages in defending where creep is, so unless you're willing to build something, well, unless your creep is right next to your ramp, or you're willing to build another hatchery right at your ramp, which doesn't make much sense. It's not all that good. So Rain doing the smart thing, scouting into the back door. He's going to get free information, see there's an overpool, and he's going to look at the Zergling count as it comes out. If the Zergling count ends up being greater than 3, he's going to maybe think about throwing down double cannons, but in this particular case, he feels pretty confident that he can slow down the stem of Lings coming out across the map, especially since there was that hatch first, so he doesn't have to worry about that. He's going to go for that Nexus first and get a cannon afterwards. Overall, a small win for Rain. He is in a pretty decent position overall, and so he's just going to be scouting around here. Meanwhile, Larva's just going to be trying to look for a position for that third base while going ahead and chasing around that probe, trying to be annoying. Sees where his Protoss opponent is. Rain, meanwhile, making an uncharacteristic mistake, gonna lose his probe really early on. That's not something you want to do, because at this point in time, Zerg has all the map control in the world. There's still time to send out another probe, but you do definitely put yourself in a position where you're not really in the know as the Protoss player, and you have to get some information soon. So, looks like Rain is going to be able to sneak out this probe and potentially go scout out this third base, so he won't be completely lost. Larva is not the type of player that usually goes for a very early Hydra Bust anyway, so I don't think we'll be seeing that from him anyhow. He's just going to be going for that far away third base, so he can get an easy fourth later on. And potentially even just connect his bases by taking that 9 o'clock position a little bit later on. We'll have to see how it goes. It is going to be the lair first, so Larva going for the long game. Scouting probe is going to get into the main base and see exactly what's going on, so it's going to be good news for Rain. This means Rain is pretty confident that he can just go into a standard macro game. He can go into that Corsair opening without too many problems. Not going to have to worry about any sort of a Hydra Bust or anything like that. And that's one of the nice things about this map as well, is it's very easy to scout with your workers. Even if your worker gets denied, it's still very easy to actually get into your opponent's base via some of these backdoor areas, as well as just walking up the ramp in the natural. It's really hard to reliably deny scouting, so this is why we typically see players go a little bit more standard on this map as opposed to something greedy or tricky, just because it's really hard to actually deny that scouting properly. So a couple of Lings coming out here to combat this Zealot coming out across the map. They're going to be able to push that away without too many problems. And Rain actually just retreats back into his base very early. It looks like he's going to be going for that Citadel follow-up. So it is definitely going to be a follow-up with lots of Zealots. Maybe even fast DTs, it really just depends. We haven't seen +1 started out for Rain yet, so he's not quite going for that really heavy air control maybe he's just a little bit worried about the potential of dying to a bunch of lings early on. Wants to make sure he has that good wall off at the front. There's the +1, so +1 is coming in right now. As I suspected, Rain is going to be going for the heavy air control with upwards of 5 to 6 Corsairs, all the way up to maybe potentially 10 to 12. Looks like he's going to be going for the very fast tempo archive, so we're definitely going to see some DTs wandering around the map, trying to get some scouting information. I think it's a very smart idea. You can control so much of this map with DTs, and getting into the backdoor base is really, really easy with those DTs because of their high damage. They can kill off those eggs really, really quickly without too much of a problem. So just spotting this backdoor expansion is Rain. He wants to make sure that no lanes are trying to get through very early on. And now that he's scouted out this fast spire, he's feeling pretty comfortable. He knows what's going to be coming out. He's going to start adding cannons to his mineral lines. Meanwhile, Larva actually thinking about taking a very early 4th as well. Just blasting straight up to 6 hatches. A little bit uncharacteristic, but it's going to allow him to have tons and tons of control out on this map. And he's going to have an insane amount of Larva coming out pretty soon. So this is a really nice opening overall for Larva. Excuse the pun. Hey Ancient Scion X, this is Rain versus Larva on Gold Rush. We're just going to be casting Gold Rush games today, trying to understand how this map works, what are some of the ways that it has improved the balance of the game, and some of the ways that it will continue to go well. So these first couple of DTs just going to start scouting around and start breaking down these eggs in the back. Looks like Raiden's actually thinking about just taking this top left base for himself so that he can go ahead and get that up really, really early. Tons of Scourge coming out for Larva and nothing but drones. So he's definitely not worried about the problem of a ground attack coming anytime soon. He's mostly just focused on being able to pick off as many of these Corsairs early on as possible, because if he can do that, he can drastically decrease the air control of the Protoss opponent and make it much harder to actually do anything. So the DTs are going to come over here, going to start killing off those eggs and start pushing forward into these bases. So this is very nice from range. Just going to walk right past that ling, leave it alive. But I think Larva knows what's going on. He's already sent a couple of lings over there. He's got his Sunkens on the way. He's even got an Overlord there. So this base is totally safe from any shenanigans Rain might try to put out. He is doing a pretty good job with the micro so far. This one Overlord is starting to get picked off. Hopefully Larva made at least one of those as a spore. The great Scourge chase on to try to pick off these Corsairs. Not going to quite be able to do it, but he does save the space for now with Spore and a Sunken. He's going to be A-okay over there. Meanwhile, a very fast Archon coming out from Rain. It's a bit surprising to see such a fast Archon come out instead of getting the High Templar, but that to me indicates that Rain wants to start getting very aggressive very soon. He's actually going to bring all of these Zealots over here. The Speedlots are going to be able to run in here, and with the Archon, this is actually going to be a very terrifying army to actually deal with. The blocks in front of this Sunken have to be really, really good, and so far they have been excellent coming out from Larva. Rain not doing the greatest job of keeping his units alive, but he has done a great job of starting to push in now, and there still is one of these Overlords still over here, so there is going to be detection here for as long as that Spore and that Overlord is alive. Looks like the rest of these Zealots might get cleaned up, but this has been a very strong attack. It's been able to do a decent amount of damage and kill off all of this Sunken defense. So overall, a small win for Rain. Meanwhile, Rain also actually pushing in there, trying to kill off a few Overlords, but so far, Larva's been able to keep up with all of this. This has been really, really good. And now starting to kill off these simulators so he can go ahead and take his third. So it's a very interesting ploy to, instead of going for the fast third, using it as an attack path, knowing his opponent win for that very fast forward. So this has been a really cool strategy coming out for Rain. He's adding on a few more gateways now as he's taking this third. He's just going to ramp up and go into a very strong late game army. Now that he's got his storms up, he's done a decent amount of damage to that fourth base. Simulators are up. Nothing's going to get through there. Sorry, Larva. Technically, you can glitch a couple of units through there using lurker eggs, for instance, but probably not going to do that because that's not really all that important at this point in time. Be more worth it to actually just go ahead and get some of those overlord drops going. Hey, Ancient Sign X says, is it live or actually from VOD? This is a VOD from the Dual FP VOD channel. This is from, I believe, not too long ago, 9/27. So September 27th, not too long ago. This is maybe at most a week old. So a couple of units just running through the middle of the map trying to get something done, but they're going to get caught out by a couple of these Hydras and take some serious damage. But I guess overall it was a pretty even trade for Rain. Larva's going to be teching up to those lurkers pretty soon and starting to get ready to go into Hive, no doubt. Meanwhile, we do have a shuttle out now for Rain. It's going to be able to drop straight into this 4th base. We'll have to see if Larva's paying attention or if he is going to get completely obliterated by this drop. He's got a couple of defense. He's got a little bit of defense over there at his 4th base. We'll see if it's going to be enough. Looks like these units are actually just going to gun straight for that Spore, try to kill it off as fast as possible. But there still is one more Overlord. Once that goes down, then there's going to be no defense for these DTs. DT was not picked off in time, so this is a difficult position. No Overlord speed yet for Larva. Larva is in a lot of trouble because this one DT can do so much damage, and there's really not much that he can do with it. The Corsairs really worth their weight in gold right now. Going to be able to pick off the remainder of those Zealots, but in the meantime he's lost quite a bit. He's hoping to get another Overlord over here, but Rain doing a really smart job actually just kind of hanging out in between the bases, making it difficult to actually kill off that DT. Finally it does go down, but that drop was well worth it. Got off a few Overlord kills, a few drone kills, as well as a couple of Hydralisk kills as well, so that was definitely worthwhile. I don't think he lost the dropship either, the shuttle, so overall, good stuff from Rain, but he hasn't been able to slow down Larva, and Larva is just going to keep turtling until the end of time. Now he's got his lurkers up. He's going to be turtling really, really hard with static defense, and this is the scary point in the game where Larva can actually take that 3 o'clock base for his own and have up to 5 gas and just turtle really, really hard, and there's not really a lot that Rain can do about this. I really like the style coming out from Larva, just being smart, taking the cross-map natural. Not only does it give you that free 4th base, but it kind of gives you a free 5th base in between your 2 mains, so that's actually a really, really cool strategy on this map. Right now, moving out with a very large army, lots of storms coming out right now, but I think that Larva should be ready to actually deal with it. Larva's going to try to get a run-by going. He's got his lurkers, he's got lots of Sunkens in position. As long as he can go ahead and get all these lurkers burrowed in time, he's going to be in just fine position. This is still a lot of units out. Larva is going to be looking to snipe off any sort of units that come out in front. He wants to be able to snipe off of those observers with those Scourge, so we're definitely going to see a very conscious effort by Larva to actually do that. Nadi's Canal going down now as well, going to allow him to quickly reinforce both sides of the map. And so far, this has just been a rock-solid defense from Larva. Rain is poking around, trying to find some weaknesses. Looks like he's going to follow up with a couple of drops while pressuring at the front. Maybe he's going to go for both the attacks at the same time, a simultaneous attack to split his opponent's attention. But it's going to be hard to get in here. This is still a pretty difficult defense overall, getting on top of these lurkers and really dealing with them. And that one observer did go quite low, but one of the lurkers finally being sniped at a cost of quite a few units from Rain. So maybe not the best play. Maybe he just needed to wait it out and look for those reverts. He really does need the reverts if he's ever going to break these holds, because it's just impossible to actually get out or get into these Zerg bases at their present moment. Looks like Rain was looking for that base over there in the 3 o'clock position, but surprise, surprise, Larva hasn't actually expanded there. Instead, Larva is just going to be turtling up really, really hard. But Rain does have tabs on it now with the DT, so he's going to know exactly when his opponent expands, and he's going to be able to deny it for quite a while before then. Looks like he's going to be going for a drop up into the 12 o'clock base. We'll be able to see if he can get anything done with it. There are no Scourge in position to actually deal with this drop. Meanwhile, Rain is attacking down here at the same time. You can tell Larva's attention is definitely split. He doesn't actually see this coming up. He doesn't expect it. He's going to be able to see it coming up right now as these units are coming in, but there isn't really a lot of defense here, and with the Corsairs coming in, he's going to be able to pick off all of these Overlords. Nothing left over here to actually defend. This is going to be a forfeit base for now until some units arrive to clean it up, but there's just so many Corsairs in the sky that it doesn't even matter. All of the Overlords just getting cleaned up immediately. Larva bringing over a few more Overlords, trying to desperately save the space, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get there in time. Tries to drone drill, but it's not going to work. He does end up losing that base, but luckily there are a few of those hatcheries close by, so it's not a total loss. It's just going to be slightly inefficient mining for a little while until he gets that next one up. Meanwhile, Rain expanding to both of the inside bases, so he's definitely planning on consolidating all his forces up into that top left-hand side of the map and just going for slow pushes out across the map. As the game gets a little bit later, he can go ahead and take that pocket inner base down in the bottom left, and maybe even the bottom left base for himself over there in the corner. Either way, there's lots of different options for Rain at this point in time, but right now he's just trying to get up his big Mega Doom Death army with the Reavers, with tons and tons of Storms and tons of late game Protoss upgrades. Another drop coming into the main is going to be able to do some good damage. It looks like a good Storm on top of a lot of these drones, going to be able to kill them off. And these shuttles trying to be juking around, but not quite going to be able to, so they're going to have to lose out for right now. The response time from Larva has been really, really good overall so far. But these Corsairs now coming in now, killing off tons of Overlord. Where are all the Scourge to deal with this? Not enough there in time to actually stop the Corsairs, and they get quite a few Overlord kills. Luckily, Larva has been really, really on top of being able to continually make all of these Overlords, and he's actually in a pretty good spot. So we are going into a split map position. It's going to be 5-base Protoss versus a 5-base Zerg, though, which is a little bit scary for the Zerg player. If Larva can hang on and avoid taking any damage for too long, then he'll be in a good spot, but this is not good at all for him. Gonna have Storms raining down on top of all those drones. All the drones in that 4th base gonna be going down right now for Larva, and that is pretty brutal for him. Meanwhile, he's sending a couple of Lings to do a counterattack, but there's already a cannon farm over there, maybe even a High Templar, so it's going to be difficult to actually get anything done over there. And here come the Archons. The Archons going to now be added on to this Protoss composition. Late game Archons are so huge in terms of just allowing the Protoss player to get tons and tons of splash damage down, being able to deal with all those units, and really good plague on top of all those units. They're going to be way easier to kill now with these Hydralisks, but it's still quite difficult to actually get them down. And meanwhile, a drop coming into this base down in the bottom left-hand corner. Nothing really to defend it at this moment in time, so hopefully Larva will be able to get there over there in time with his Lings and clean that up. Either way, that hatch is going to be taking a lot of damage. Meanwhile, Rain is not letting up on the drops at all. These two shuttles have been absolutely relentless in continuing to put on pressure, either on the top side in that 12 o'clock base or now down in that 7 o'clock base. A couple more Scourge coming out, going to be able to start screening for all of those drops. But as I've said before, this map is just, there's so much drop area to defend from that it's so hard to actually kill off these shuttles before they get there. It can be very, very difficult. Gonna be able to clean off this drop as well, even picking off a few of those Corsairs. So that Plague really coming in handy, doing quite a good job of killing stuff off. He's even gonna morph a lair there. It's just gonna give that hatchery just a little bit more health, gonna allow it to stay alive versus the next attack. More Archons being added on now for Rain as he takes this inner 5 o'clock base. A couple of Scourge maybe actually flying to their doom. But here comes another big attack. Gonna try to actually break this. Rain is maxed out now, so he's looking for a big attack while doing a counterattack elsewhere. He's finally got those Reavers, so he can start breaking down these walls. But he's got to be a little bit careful about how he controls these Reavers. He needs to make sure he stays out of range of those Sunkins, while also just doing a good job of picking stuff off. Lots of Lurkers over there, though. Gonna be really easy to deter this army from going straight in. But once this wall is down, it's going to be open season on the Zerg base. Can Larva hold on? He really needs to go ahead and get those swarms up so he can stop the unit progression in here. But he doesn't have a whole lot over here. There aren't a ton of lings. He does get a very, very good plague on top of those reavers. It's going to be a lot easier to clean up. But this has still been quite brutal for him. A couple more lings coming in right now, but the storms are going to be very strong for Rain. Going to be able to pick off quite a few units. Oh my god, so many storms coming down right now. And you can tell that this has just been absolutely drastic. Meanwhile, there was an Archon drop over here in the 3 o'clock base that Larva's also trying to deal with. Just Rain is splitting his attention in so many different ways, but eventually this army is slowly dwindling away, and it looks like, at least for now, Larva has actually held this base, but he's lost a lot in the process. Meanwhile, Rain, dealing with all of this very cost efficiently, is going to be able to go ahead and continue dropping some High Templar here and there, trying to get as much damage done as possible. A couple of High Templar in the shuttle still, looking for the good storms. Does get a decent storm, but not the best one. Wow, Larva actually managing to dodge with most of those drones, actually keeping his economy alive up there. So that was actually a very good move there from Larva. Rain whiffing a lot of those storms, unfortunately. But Rain does have a strong economic advantage here. When you, as a Protoss player, if you ever have this, oh my god, okay, the return storms come back and get the rest of these drones. Very beautiful stuff coming out from Rain. He's gotten so much of an advantage in terms of economy. He's gotten up to 6 bases now. One of those is mineral only, but still, this is really, really good for the Protoss player. Meanwhile, A's are just trying to struggle to stay on 5 or 6 bases. Can be quite difficult to actually do, but Larva is doing a really good job so far. Only 3 bases on this map have not been taken. All those inner bases on the Zerg side of the map. But Larva is never going to attack. This is the Larva style of playing, where you just never attack. You take all the bases on the map, and you never attack. And there's not really a whole lot that Protoss can do about it, because eventually the cost efficiency of static defense plus lurkers and defilers will eventually wear down your opponent and prevent them from actually doing anything. If the game goes late enough, you can definitely add on queens and make it absolutely crazy while you just snipe off all of the Protoss units. There's not really anything they can do about it. But here are all of the Archons. Looks like Rain is going to continue going for that crazy drop play. He's not going to stop at all. So many more drops going to be coming in right now. Larva at least happy now that he doesn't have to deal with any more of those Corsairs. He can just kind of chill out in his bases. Good plague. There it is. Good plague on top of all those units. 3 drops coming in right now. A couple of them just going to be suicided in here, but this is a lot of units and 2 Reavers. This is so scary right now. This is a really, really strong drop. Let's see if Larva can actually respond. Well, he's got one of these lurkers in place, but it is going to go down rather quickly. He's got to send his units in small groups. That's the problem. He really can't send them all at once, or else these 2 Reavers and the Archons will be able to completely crush them. It's actually amazing how brutal it can be. So he's got to send units in small groups. So finally being able to clean up at least one of those Reavers, he's going to send his next group of units to hopefully be able to clean up the rest of that. But this has been a very cost-efficient drop, and so far Rain has just really been abusing his ability to drop all over the map and do tons and tons of damage. This has been really, really nice play coming out from Rain. He's got another couple of drops coming in. Storm drops on top of all these drones. Not able to kill all of them off, but actually I take that back. Those last 2 storms were excellent. Going to be able to kill off a lot of drones over there, but he did sacrifice 3 or 4 High Templar for that, plus a shuttle. This is very much a slugfest between these 2 players, but Rain definitely does have the advantage. Larva trying to, again, look for the advantage, getting back this 3 o'clock base. That base down in the 5 o'clock position hasn't been touched yet, so that is one thing that Larva has done going for him. But he keeps losing all of these units to these drops. It's so hard to actually be on top of your drop defense. Larva has one of the best drop defenses in the game, but still not able to do it. Instead, he's actually just going to start going on the offensive with some lurker drops. We'll be able to see if these do significant damage or cause Rain some problems. Meanwhile, he's just going to be trying to defend the best that he possibly can. Unfortunately, this Overlord does get spotted out by a couple of Corsairs early on. Going to have to pick up one of those and move it, because it's slightly in range of that cannon, but doing a pretty good job overall of being able to prevent that one base from mining. That's going to allow him a little bit of breathing room, but he's got another big attack coming in right here, and lots of storms coming out. This is going to be a little bit difficult to deal with, but with a good plague, there's a potential he might be able to clean this up. Very nice play going on top of all of those units. Going to make it much easier to clean up, but he's got to make sure that he's continuing to rally units, that he is not getting complacent. And meanwhile, the push is just never ending for Rain. He's got the double robo up now, just pumping tons and tons of these units. He's going to be able to start moving out across the map and do significant damage to his opponent. Meanwhile, the space has been kept from mining for a very long time. It looks like the Nexus actually might go down if it's not dealt with for an extended period of time. More and more Ling's going to be coming out trying to deal with this. There are a few more Templar out here with some storms trying to clean up the rest of this, but a couple of Lings coming in should be able to clean up the rest of this. Another good storm coming out from Rain. That was actually very nice. Can Larva get another one of these lurker drops off, though? He's been so preoccupied with doing several other things that he hasn't really had the chance to get his lurker drop off. It looks like it actually died off of there before it dropped, so really unfortunate there for Larva. He's really trying to shut down a lot of these bases with his lurkers and just cause Rain to focus his attention elsewhere. Does pick off a Reaver and a Templar out in the middle of the map with some Lings, so that's very nice for him. And meanwhile, all this time, there hasn't been anything to really defend that one lurker down there in the bottom inner 5. Has been able to do quite a bit of damage to the Nexus overall. Finally, some Storm's going to be able to actually clean up those lurkers. And that is going to be mining back, coming back for Rain. Rain finally breathing a sigh of relief, but I mean, there's still a couple more things coming in that might cause a little bit of problem. Oh my god, he's going to bring in one Hydra and snipe that. That is beautiful play coming out from Larva. He manages to snipe that Nexus. That's going to be a lost base for Rain. He's going to have to remake that. And meanwhile, the money counts are fairly even from both of these players, but if you look at it, Larva has a much higher supply. He's floating on Cloud 9 right now. He just needs to make sure he doesn't die to this gigantic push. Lots of good play going down on top of all of those Zealots, and this is actually a desperation push from Rain. He's just sacking all of his supply into the space, trying to go for it, but running into a lot of units, losing a lot for free, and these, oh my gosh, both of the Observer snipes, so no more Observers out on the ground. If any more Lurkers get down here, it's going to be very difficult to deal with them, aside from just using lots of storms. And he actually does run into another Lurker over there. This has been cleaned up by Larva, and Larva now up 160 supply to 92, almost double his opponent right now. This has been absolutely fantastic. Going to be able to clean up this drop, but does lose a lot of drones there, unfortunately, so that was a bit of a problem. Either way, Larva looks like he's finally done it. He's held on long enough and gotten enough damage done with those Lurkers that he's actually in a fantastic spot right now. He's going to be able to remax and fight back pretty soon, but Rain is just going to continue on with these drops. He is not deterred ever. But, oh my gosh, the cost efficiency of these natural defenses is just so strong. And without killing all of those drones off, that was a wasted drop for sure. A couple more Lurkers going to be coming in right now. Going to start chipping away at some of these defenses. One more cannon in the mineral line, plus a couple of these High Templar are going to be able to slowly push this away for now, but this has still been really, really annoying. Another big attack coming over here to the top side. We got our Dark Swarm down as well, but we have tons of units dropping on top instead, so it doesn't even matter. Unit's going to be able to get right on top of this Reaver and start sniping it away. This has been really, really beautiful play coming out from Larva. Is going to be able to, once he kills off this Reaver, that's going to be the GG. Well played. Oh my gosh. Larva just absolutely insane.